Washington Wizards take the top-seeded Indiana Pacers at home tonight. For the Pacers, the playoffs are stamped. For the Washington Wizards, it's another story. They're only in the 6th seed, a half game ahead of the Charlotte Bobcats. Tonight, they hope to come away with a win and possibly get to that 5th seed.
This was a team win, too, I thought. I thought our bench came in, gave us huge lift in the first half. Our bench ends up outscoring, their bench, which is always important. March in the middle, I thought protected the rim tonight. Great.
Well, definitely appreciate for everything Coach said about me. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me and responsibilities on me. I got to be the big man who's going to control the paint and protect the rim. There was a lot of situations there where I could just jump straight up and try to contest the shot, not necessarily block it, but just contest the shot and make it tougher for everybody else to finish. And I'm glad that we just won the game.
But we understand that we just got to play defense. If we don't play defense, we can't really beat nobody in this league. And the reason why we won this game is everybody played defense, contested shots, and rebounded the ball as a group.
I think we did a great job just coming out and being more physical. And we played great defense for 48 minutes, and that's definitely what won us the game.
Defense, I think that's it is our Achilles heel. That's what we have to do to win. Because like today, we didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but we were able to win the game, by a large margin because we played defense. And when we do that, we're a good team.
Sitting here with Lex Taylor. Lex, Wizards pretty much in control of this one. What factors do you think contributed to their win this evening?
Well, it was a big win for the Wizards. They needed this W. John Wall played spectacular, 20 points, really dominated both ends of the floor. But I think the edge for the Wizards tonight had to go to Gortat inside. He won the battle between him and Hibbert, finishing with 17 points.
Do you think the Pacers in that emotional game that they had against the Miami Heat played any factor as far as fatigue in this one?
Well, two things. I think that did play a part in this game today. I mean, that was a big emotional victory for them the other night. But the Wizards are a very good team in the Eastern Conference, very dangerous. They have beaten many of the top teams in the NBA this season. So not surprised that the Wizards came out and handled business tonight.
Everybody came in ready to play, and everybody was focused. We played hard. We denied the ball. We had a pressure on the ball, and then, on the other end, we just shot the ball well.
Again, I don't so much stress finishing in the top 6. I want us to finish playing like this. And then all that stuff takes care of itself where you finish. So I don't want them focusing on, 5th, 6th, 4th, 3rd. I want us to focus on doing what we did tonight, and then let the chips fall where they may. We continue to build the momentum by playing like this. This was a playoff intensity game tonight.
It's a good news final here in D.C. as the Wizards are able to defeat the Indiana Pacers at home 98-71. John Wall had 20 points. I send it back to you in the studios. I'm Mykell Ramos for the Roundball Report.
Special thanks to Lexter Taylor as well as Justin Taylor, who did an outstanding job shooting and cutting that package for us. And now remaining with us in the studio are Brandy Simms of the PGE Sentinel and MocoVox.com, as well as Coach Jimmy Fly Hellman of HSRN. And gentlemen, Brandy, we had you on throughout the year.
Right.
It's like the Wizards have just about ended their 5 to 6 year playoff drought. I don't think it's a question of if they're in, even though Randy said he's not concerned about so much maintaining 6, but how they're playing. It doesn't matter how they're playing. If they finish 7th or 8th, it's going to be one and done.
Yeah, I think they've exceeded my expectations. I believe last time on the show I said they were about 500 teams, so it looks like they're a little bit better. And, with them getting a playoff spot this year, I mean, they're definitely they've got, I guess, the fans really excited and looking forward to some good things.
And, Coach, we heard during that package, the Wizards learned the lesson. They scored 99 points against Phoenix, or maybe even 100 points, and ended up losing because they just didn't decide to play defense till the second half. Scored 91 against Indiana and won by 13 because, as Coach Whitman is trying to tell them, even when the jump shot's not there, defense can win games for you.
It's going to win games. It wins championships. It'll get them in the playoffs. They've beaten, Miami. They've beaten Indiana. They've beaten Oklahoma City. They've beaten top-tier teams in the NBA. It's just the consistency factor. The late season injury to Nene has really crippled this team coming down the stretch. they could weather that for like a week. They did okay, and then they kind of had a drop off a couple weeks after that. Now, last time I was here, I read a report where Nene was supposed to come back the first week of April. If he can come back by the end of this week and get 2 weeks under his belt, get his conditioning back, get his rhythm back, they need a healthy Nene if they're going to do anything in the playoffs.
And Brandy, we talk about defense carrying a team. As we see, they've been able to carry with their three-point shooting throughout the year, but without having that double low post threat, those threes aren't as open as they were before for Beal, and he's been struggling with his shooting, as well as Ariza is struggling. And I think that's part of legs at the end of the season. But that defense, you think if they learn that commitment to defense, that will spell well for them, because right now, if they hold on to the 6th slot, they're slated to go up against either Chicago or Toronto in the first round. And believe it or not, they've actually fared better against Chicago than they have Toronto this year. But at least that gives them a legitimate shot to get out of the first round.
Right. Getting back to what he said, that consistency, they haven't been able to maintain that level of consistency. If they can do that on a consistent basis, play good defense and come away with some of these wins, that's going to give the guys confidence, and it's going to help them in their quest in the postseason.
Now, you talk about, and Coach, you've experienced this, when guys are out, it gives other guys opportunities, and you just think about how much more of a positive impact a guy like Drew Gooden, who's been a godsend for them, how more enhanced his role will be when you have a Nene back in there, where Drew he's actually being able to maintain it against other teams' starting front court. If you get him, Al Harrington, Andre Miller, along with Martell Webster, that's a pretty formidable bench coming up against other teams' bench in a playoff matchup.
Well, before the Wizards made these moves to get the point guard Miller and Gooden, they were like the 4th worst second unit in the NBA. They couldn't hold leads. It was terrible. That's what was hurting them big time. When Nene back, you bring that rebound and that physicality, help side defense, all these things that do not show up in the box score that he creates for these other players. So to me, he's key. That's why I said at the end of the show last week, if they could get to Miami, I think Miami and Indiana right now are both vulnerable. LeBron is carrying a heavy load in Miami. Wade, whether or not he's injured or they're just holding him back to the playoffs, that remains to be seen. But a Miami team minus Wade in the playoffs, and you only got to deal with LeBron James and Bosh down low, the Wizards would go taut and Nene healthy with. Think about the experience. They say Wizards are young. They're young in the backcourt.
Right.
Wall and Beal. The rest of their top 7, 8 guys are all experienced playoff veterans with, some of them 30, 40, 50 games in the NBA playoffs. They're the ones that are going to carry Wall and Beal till they get their first bite at the apple and say this is how the intensity level goes up.
Now, moving back to the Pacers, Brandy, losing that 7th game to Miami last year's playoffs has had them on a quest this year to get the #1 seed. But do you think in that quest that they've shot their load a little early and have burned out, because they were able to get up for Miami, but they lost here by 13, only scored 70-some points. They lost at Cleveland without Kyrie Irving the other night. What's the story? They're only 1 game actually ahead, and even with the Heat in the loss column, for that #1 overall seed.
Yeah, I think they have something to prove. They want, everyone talks about Miami, but they want people to know that they are definitely a team to be reckoned with Big Roy Hibbert, local guy, Paul George, Lance Stevenson. That team is loaded as well, and you definitely have to keep an eye on them.
And out west, we every year they like that old shoe you just don't pay for respect for. But the San Antonio Spurs, 17 in a row, Coach, and they've taken the #1 seed away from Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has been inconsistent since Westbrook has gotten back. But who do you like out west? The Clippers are coming along like gangbusters as well. And do you think that they're a legitimate threat, having a championship pedigree coach with all that talent in Doc Rivers?
I think they're definitely in the mix now, where if they didn't have Doc Rivers, I wouldn't put them there. Blake Griffin just got injured, had back spasms in the last game. It's all going to come down to injuries. I think San Antonio, the only team that can beat them in the West in a 7-game series, is Oklahoma City. But saying that, I think Oklahoma City could have problems with the Clippers or the Rockets, which I think San Antonio head up would beat those teams. So depending on injuries last year, Westbrook got hurt. made it easier for San Antonio to get there. But San Antonio, I'm going to tell you, because I picked them last year, and I was disappointed when, Popovich took out Duncan and it cost them that series. I think this team is that since the All-Star break, they are just dismantling teams. They're beating teams with Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker sitting out, and they still steamroll you. So I think they're dangerous. Having home court advantage is going to be good for them. But think about this. Phoenix, on the outside looking in at the 9th seed right now, they would be the number 3 seed in the East.
And they're a dangerous team to play. What about Houston? I mean, Dwight Howard's out right now, and and Beverly's out for a while. Can they make noise?
I don't think so. I mean, they're going to need a healthy Dwight Howard in order to contend, and with him not being there, it's going to be really, really tough.
All right, Brandy, let the folks know where they can catch you.
TheSentinel.com and also my Twitter. I'm real big on Twitter these days. It's at BLS1969.
And Coach, they can catch you here and on HSRN, and we'll see if you are once again a prophet, or we'll come back next week to see. That's going to do it for this edition. I know you enjoyed it. It was informative and action-packed. And you can look forward for high school all-star games, the latest for March Madness for men and women, special features and interviews with the players and coaches from the high school, college, and professional basketball teams in the Washington metropolitan area on future shows. And remember, what's happening on the court, we'll definitely be around the ball. And for all of you aspiring basketball stars out there, don't ever forget that focusing on your education is the first step towards making your hoop dreams come true. So until next time, for my co-host Janae Hayes and Nikki Lewis, I'm Andrew Dyer for the Roundball Report. Good night.